You are here with By the Cover. Today we're going to be reviewing Finders Keepers by Stephen King. This book was 431 pages and took me 6 days to read. I would give this book a rating of 5 out of 10. This review will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to hear those, click off now. In order to explain what I don't like about the book, I have to explain spoilers. So again, click off now if you don't want to hear those. Ultimately, Finders Keepers is a largely forgettable book in the series. The majority of the plot isn't necessary to the remainder of the trilogy. If I were to do it over again, I'd probably skip everything but the ending of this book. What I loved about the book. I love the chemistry between Jerome, Holly, and Bill. I think they're great characters, and they're even greater together. The last 60 pages of this book were explosive, and I really liked that the ending tied the detective story in with the supernatural and did a perfect setup for the third book. I've read a lot of people complain that the third book was just too out there, and my thought to that was, you're reading Stephen King. The fact that he went almost 2 books without anything super weird is out of the norm for him. So I don't understand the disappointment when he marries what he's currently doing with what he usually does. That just seemed like the natural progression of things to me, so I thought it was a perfect setup for the third book. I really liked the concept of tying multiple timelines together throughout the story. I thought that was well done. I really liked Pete's motivations to assist his family and his good intentions. And I also really liked the scene with Pete's mother a bit later in the book. I thought Mr. Ricker was a great supporting character. And I thought the confrontation between Andy and Morris was great. As far as the mediocre of this book, the Sauber family in general, they were just okay. They were just kind of there. As far as my dislikes, there's going to be many. My first dislike is it's not really an original plot. It's about an obsessed fan going after an author. Does that sound familiar? Stephen King does a lot of this, and when he does it, sometimes it works well, and sometimes it doesn't, but he just continuously does it. There's a lot of his books that are based around writing, or authors, or fans of authors. It just gets old. The plot was boring. This is basically a book heist that takes place over the course of over 30 years. I'm sure Stephen King finds stories about writing and poetry and novels and authors super interesting, but I just don't share that same love. And I roll my eyes when there's a high-stakes story about books. But the biggest issue I have with this book is the antagonist. The antagonist is straight trash for many reasons. Morris's character makes no sense. You ask yourself right from the beginning, what is his motivation? He goes on a heist. From that heist, he gets money, and he gets notebooks of unpublished writing from an author that he is obsessed with. Morris is a very one-note character. He obsesses about a character in a series by an author, and the character's name is Jimmy Gold. And he doesn't like the way that the author handled Jimmy Gold going out in the series. So him and a couple buddies do a heist. They end up killing the author. During the heist, the author sees something in Morris that he doesn't see in the other two, basically alluding to he's not doing it for money. He's doing it for something else. The reason he is doing it is because he wants the unfinished works. He wants them to himself so that he can read them. So from the heist, he gets both money and he gets the notebooks. Right there, the book should end, because he has what he wants. His entire life is based around the notebooks. That is the only thing he cares about through his entire life. That is his entire reason for living. He has both of those things at the beginning of this book. So why does he get upset? Why does he get so upset when he goes to his supposed friend, and the friend can't offload the books till the turn of the millennium? That just means he has the books for years, he can read them. And he already has money, so he doesn't need money at that point. Again, he has both things that he wants. There's no reason for the rest of this book to take place. Then, next, what does he do? He already knows he has a drinking problem because he's been blackout drunk before, which he did something stupid while he was a minor, and he got a record. That happened when he was a minor. So what does he do again? He gets blackout drunk, commits a crime, and gets sent away for a bunch of years. Why did he do that? He didn't need to. He didn't have a reason to. He's an idiot. I also found the scene where his mother goes behind his back and reads the series, and she has a different opinion on Jimmy Gold, the character he's obsessed with, and he just wigs out, man. He is pissed about that. I'm just like, really? If your parent takes an interest in what you're reading about and they express any view whatsoever, why would that bug you? But no, he's so possessive and no one can challenge his beliefs, and it's just so laughable to me that he is that unbelievable. And Morris just is stupid. Morris gets out of jail after 30 years of being in prison. He's trying to find the books again, and it's just mentioned that he spends a few weeks creating a new search protocol. Like he's been in computers his entire life, and it just takes him a week or two to write some search protocol that he uses. When did he learn all of his magical software computing skills in the 30 years he was in jail? Dumb. Another stupid point is when Morris is digging up the trunk and he realizes it's light, so it's missing the notebooks, he thinks. And he says to himself, why would anyone take the notebooks? Really? That's your entire purpose for living? And you're wondering why someone would take the notebooks. Again, dumb dialogue, dumb character. Came out of complete left field, but when he's meeting with Andy and Andy's not doing what he wants, he's not able to sell the books immediately. Stephen King just throws in some cheap homophobic crap to make you dislike Morris more. I'm like, where did that come from? So that is my primary reason for not liking this book, is Morris's entire character made zero sense. He had what he wanted from the beginning of the book. There was no reason for anything else to take place. And he also just wasn't smart or interesting. He was a very surface level antagonist. Later on in the book, I caught a plot discrepancy. And that was, it's mentioned earlier that Pete researches and finds out that Rothstein is dead, but then later in the book, either Bill Jerome or Holly mentions that the author is dead, and it's portrayed like that's information that Pete just found out, when he clearly knew about it previous to that point. And the last thing I didn't like about this book, I've mentioned it many times when talking about Stephen King, is he likes to repeat himself. In addition to rambling a lot of times, it seems like he doesn't trust the reader to remember details. One particular instance in this book is every time Holly is brought up and Bill's thinking about Holly, he constantly mentions how he knows Holly is better than she thinks she is, meaning she doesn't know her self-worth. The first time I get, but every subsequent time after that, I don't need to hear that 30 times. It doesn't need to be Holly's defining trait in the book. She can stand on her own. So yeah, this one was a very mixed bag for me. I thought there were some good points, but I also thought that there were some very bad points. Morris is my least favorite antagonist that I've ever read, I think. He was just poorly written. So that's about it. We'll catch you later.